Okay, one last video that we're going to take a look at with regard to APA is the in-text citations. And again, let's take a look at our PowerPoint voiceover.
Okay, class, let's go ahead and take a look at how we create in-text citations. One of the things that I often see is students, they'll type according to our text. I see that a lot. A couple things wrong with according to our text. First of all, you never want to say the word our. That's first person writing, and you always want to avoid that first person writing as much as you can when you're writing in academia. But the other problem with that is according to our text. What you're saying there is the text is saying something. Well, as you know, the only thing that can say something are people. When you talk about the text is an object, and objects don't speak. So you have to reference the speaker. And the speaker in relation to a textbook is the author. So with APA, you want to always reference the author, okay, or authors, okay? And there's various rules for the way that you use the in-text citations. So let's take a look. Let's say we're taking something from our social policies book, and we want to reference the authors. Well, on the authors, we have Kornblum, Julian, and also Smith in the 14th edition collaborated. So we want to give reference to Smith as well. So let's say we're taking something from our textbook, and we're going to say, according to, not our textbook, but Kornblum, Julian, and Smith. And the next thing you want to do is you want to include the year of the publication. I'm looking at the 14th edition here, and I can see that this was published on in 2012. It was the latest edition there. So I will put 2012, and I close out the parentheses. That's how that should look. Then I would include my content of whatever it is that I am typing. So let's go ahead and get some content from here. All right, let's find a good thing to type about. Let's go to this page. Let's talk about healthcare. So let's say I'm talking about the healthcare is considered a social problem. Okay, that's a fair statement, and that would be a sentence. Now let's say I took those words, I'm quoting it right from the textbook. Then things change a little bit. I have to include my quotations, and I put the quotations around the content, not around the author's names, just the content that I'm quoting from the textbook. Another thing that you have to include with in-text citations on a quotation is the page number. So you put a parentheses, P period, and I'm seeing this on page 63, and I close it out and I put my period. Notice here, it is just a lowercase p, not PG, not two P's, just one P. And the period goes after the parentheses, not before. Excuse me. Okay? So that is how that would look. Now let's say we are referencing Kornblum, Julian, and Smith a second time in our paper. The rule with APA is with 3 or more authors, you always reference 3 to 5 authors, 3 to 5 authors, always reference all 3 to 5 authors one time. If you use that reference again, you only reference the authors, the first author. So let's say I use Kornblum, Julian, and Smith once in one paragraph. I go to the next paragraph, and I use more content from this textbook. At that point, I would only reference Kornblum. So let's say it'd be Kornblum, but I have to give credit to the others, and the way that I do that is I use the words et al. Et al means and all. Okay, so it's Kornblum and all. Okay, so then I would just insert my content. That is the rule with 3 to 5 authors. Let's say, for example, I have 6 or more authors. So I've got Kornblum, Julian Smith, Johnson, Jones, and Mahoney. In 2015, and you're referencing that content. There are 6 or more authors. When you have 6, you never, ever, ever reference any of the other ones except for the first one. Okay? So 3 to 5 authors, reference all 3 the first time, or 4th or 5. The second time, it's just the first author et al. 6 or more authors, only reference the first author and use et al. Okay? That's really important here when you're doing your in-text citations.
Okay, so that is some of the important rules for creating in-text citations.